You get the feeling we're in season-defining territory in Gloucester this afternoon. If the Cherry and Whites can begin the Fortress Kingsland rebuild with victory against Leicester, then they'll be well set up for the rest of their Premiership campaign. But if the Tigers take the spoils, I think we can officially count them well and truly back in the title race. We'll be at fever pitch in a matter of minutes with the first glimpse of a Leicester shirt running down that tunnel. So let's get over to the boys in the box and say good afternoon first to Nick Mullins.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. Prospect of an afternoon's rugby watching in this wonderful cauldron. Always a real treat. This is a fixture that's always one of those classic Premiership fixtures. And how about that? Right in the middle of the Lions' Den, a couple of very brave Tigers. They opened the gates at about 12:15. They were at the front of the queue, snubbing their nose. They're going to have a fun afternoon, and so will he, and so will everyone here. It's just one of the great venues. One last check on the teams, and Gloucester's captain Luke Narroway is back to drive the Cherry and White bus from the base of the scrum. His little battle with Thomas Waldron provides an interesting subtext. Darren Daviduke gets the start in the middle of the front row. Ollie Morgan returns from injury at fullback. Mike Tindall will be thrilled to have a game of rugby as his sole concern for the next couple of hours. As much as Richard Cockerell's tired of talking about Leicester's dreadful form during the World Cup, he and we have all noticed how much better they've been since their big names returned from the show in New Zealand. You can pick out the key stars for yourself on this list. Of the others, Sam Harrison's at scrum half, keeping out Ben Youngs. Billy Twelvetrees returns to fitness, and that's a timely return in midfield. Skivington and Woods come in up front.
Well, Leicester may have all the star names in this front row battle, but a really big challenge awaits them, with Gloucester reaping the benefits of consistency of selection. Woods has started every Aviva game, Harden's missed just one game in the last 9, and Daviduke has started all bar one in the Premiership, taking his chance to overtake Scotland's World Cup returnee Lawson to become the number 1, number 2 for the Cherry and Whites. Providing the rear-wheel drive for them, Gloucester having Hamilton and James, 2 of the best scrummaging second rows around. Deacon's no mug in that department either, really looking forward to his battle with Hamilton, 2 one-time rivals for the role left by Martin Johnson at Leicester, with the enforcer role at the front of the line-out. And some notable absentees in Leicester's back row. That'll mean the Cherry and Whites fancy their chances in getting the upper hand in this vital facet of any Tigers-Gloucester game. They've gone with a gritty combination of flankers with Narroway's flair. While Richard Cockerell, he'll ask Tom Croft to concentrate on matching that physicality in the close quarters, with Waldron being slightly looser of an 8 than the injured newbie Owen Crane.
And into the heads and the backs, and if you're looking for a loose game, well, that will really suit Burns. He's an excellent attacker in open play. Flood will look to just push the corners and keep the juggernaut Tigers pack moving on. The centres are an intriguing battle. Tins will cart it up all day long, hopefully creating more space in the outside channel for the impressive Trinder. Smith and Twelvetrees add a little bit of stability back to the Tigers midfield, which has been injury ravaged all season. And the back three, the big battles of the day, and they don't come any bigger than Leslie Vinocola and Alassana Tuolangi. Tuolangi will put pressure on Sharples all day. This is a test for Sharples. Is he the international quality fly half that many believe he is? We should find out this afternoon.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this game. So many intriguing matchups. Worcester's win against David Flatman's Bath last night has pushed this lot to second bottom in the Aviva Premiership. They are entering an absolutely pivotal 4 weeks of the season. They know that. This one, Northampton at home next Saturday, then back-to-back with Clermont Auvergne in Europe. Nobody, not one of these, needs to be told just what the next month means, and it starts here at Kingsholm. They've not been here for much more than an hour. They deliberately delayed their arrival at the ground, didn't want to get too psyched out by it, turned up with just enough time to lace up the boots and have a quick run around. Tactics employed by Richard Cockerell pre-match, but it'll be the tactics employed by him during it that will be central.
Let's go, boys.
Confidence perhaps not quite as strong as it might have been a month or so ago. They've lost that proud unbeaten record, but they have a very proud man leading them out, the skipper Luke Narroway. dropped to place after Exeter's astonishing win at Sale last night. But the Roar will hopefully, from their point of view, drive them back towards the top. They will be back in the top 4 if they win this one. Luke Narraway, who led the club to the Anglo-Welsh Cup last season. Mike Tyndall's involvement was sporadic, but it's easy to forget that they made the playoff semi-finals, but for Owen Farrell's late penalty at Vicarage Road, they would have been in the playoff final against Leicester. That's how close they came. JP Doyle's in charge, Peter Huckle and Andrew Pearce are the touch judges, David Matthews the TMO. It's been set up. It's all set for what we hope will be one of the games of the Aviva Premiership season. Certainly was last season. Are we asking too much to expect something similar to the 41-all draw at Welford Road? It never pays to be too greedy, but let's hope nonetheless. First clearance of the afternoon is the responsibility of Jordan Murphy, always a solid figure at fullback for the Tigers.
And I think you can see from that kick, Leicester are playing into what looks like quite a strong wind.
Set him up for me.
Certainly with the kick-off as well. A lot of depth on the kick-off. Tigers decided to tack into the midfield, which gave them options both sides, but made the kick for Jordan Murphy a lot further to get to the touchline. Hence they're defending a line out on their own 22.
Thrown in by Davidju to the man who runs the line out these days, Jim Hamilton. And Kapusin Guerra, the first drive towards the 22. Lawson picks out Narraway, who's hunted down by Ben Woods.
Narraway makes the mistake there by running an outside line and getting isolated. It's a good line because you tend to get more leg drive in the tackle because you're not meeting a head-on target. They come in at the side. But he had no support players with him, which meant he had to move the ball back into a squeeze position.
Ball under belly, holding.
Penalised for not releasing.
Narraway starting again after Strokosh wore number 8 against Harlequins in the Heineken Cup last weekend.
This is the outside line, seeing the head guard runs out and he's got no one with him. Fly half not interested in going and joining the ruck, which means he feels the pressure of the Leicester hands coming in towards the ball, realises he's going to get turned over if he doesn't put it underneath his body, and he can't do that anymore.
Leicester line out, looking for Croft, and that was defended well by Narraway. It remains Leicester possession, but only just. Gloucester were putting an awful lot of work into their defensive line-outs training this week.
It was good as well. They changed position. A lot of teams do that, but what they did really well was they left it until the last possible minute when Leicester thought they had an easy win at the front with Croft.
Flicked away by Harrison. It was not flicked away with any great accuracy, though. It was much too much for Flood. Tuilangi couldn't pick it up. The ball was knocked on, so Gloucester are playing with free ball here. Tyndall, tackle needed to be made by the fullback Murphy. But the new man at 9, trying to find his feet, Sam Harrison, will deliver more sympathetic passes as this match wears on. This is Ollie Morgan, Narraway, who's been busy. Here goes Sharples. He's driven backwards by Woods, who's had a busy start himself.
As this ball comes out, you can see the width that Gloucester are trying to play on the game. Every time Burns takes the ball, he's a long, long way away from Lawson.
Number 3 is in front. Number 3.
And there's a lot of traffic in the outside channels. They want to attack Leicester around their outside.
That was the initial pass from Harrison.
Tuilangi as well took his eye off the ball when he thought he had it. Didn't quite have it in his possession.
Austin.
Guys, you mentioned about getting to that outside channel. If we look back at this Luke Narraway, he's actually doing exactly the right thing, attacking slightly wide, trying to get into the back. So what happens, though, if your 2 support runners can't get off the floor quick enough in your pod, you're going to get turned over. Now, if Gloucester get those support players into that channel, we've already seen there's opportunities to attack Tigers wider out. You look outside that breakdown there, the forwards are slow to get round the corner, and that's what Gloucester are trying to do tactically.
Second Leicester line out. Slapped back by Deacon. Shooter had to do some tidying up though. 35-year-old said he was looking forward to the advice he was bound to get from the shed this afternoon. It's always helpful. Harrison gets snagged by Hamilton.
Brilliant by Hamilton. The timing coming late, but timing is run and accelerating as Harrison picked up the ball to snag him.
Toby Floods with a delicate ball chipped through, and there was little Morgan could do about that.
A really good response from Flood as well, under pressure. They weren't going to go anywhere. Pin Gloucester back in their own half, but here, look at that. Hands were on the ball. Picked it up in the Sale game a bit. He does take a little bit of time standing still to work out what he's going to do with the ball once he's got it in his hands. And he was caught a couple of times in the Sale game, Sam Harrison.
This is Angera, who strides through the missed tackle of Castrogiovanni.
Stand, no, 3.
That's a very, very good clearing kick. Goodness me, he is such a promising young player, Freddie Burns, stepping up this season in the absence of Nick Robinson and stepping in beautifully.
Well, it's the benefit of having the wind behind you. What you do is you don't have to get your body weight all the way through the ball. You just tilt your hips back, get the ball airborne and let the wind do the job for you. Very, very good kick.
Another Leicester line out. They've been busy in these opening minutes. They've been struggling though. They were looking for Woods and it's been taken by Angera. And that defensive work Gloucester were putting in all week at the line out, paying off early on. Chipped over the head of Murphy. Sharples chasing him, and in the end Murphy decided the simplest option was to cash in his chips. And Gloucester this time will have the line out 10 metres from the try line.
Well, this line out from Leicester, look at Gloucester's movement after the call's been made. That's what they're doing so well.
I've said the same to them.
And Leicester,
You're not to huddle,
with
to
Parling
call,
not there to react, are unable to change the call at the last minute. They've been under massive pressure with their first two lineouts. They lose the third one, and now it's a throw-in for Gloucester.
And it's Gloucester's turn to mess up the line out, and Waldron chugs away with it up towards the 22.
Inside the 22.
It'd be fascinating to have a chat about
Yes, they are fully
the
back.
mechanics of defending lineouts in a minute or so, Ben, when we get the opportunity. And that's a good clearing kick, but without giving too many trade secrets away from a Gloucester point of view, they were looking for triggers from the Leicester team that they thought might come this afternoon.
They are, but equally they're trying to read it early, and then they're trying to make sure that Leicester, that the dynamics are, the attacking team are trying to spot how the defending team are defending. And if you change that defence at the last minute, once the attacking team's made the call, it makes it very difficult.
Hamilton won the line out, Freddie Burns spun away with it beautifully, goes around to Anani, Croft comes back to hunt him down. Oh, the tackle needed to be made by Croft, and he made an awful lot of ground to do it, but Gloucester are still on the charge. This is Davidjuk, the hooker, inside the 22. All of this from the initial break. From the fly half, Freddie Burns into the 22 for the first time, and then Tyndall kicks the ball away, and Leicester will have possession back. They've got the advantage from the knock-on. It deserved much more. It looked like it was going to get so much more after that initial Burns break, but the tackle from Croft was a lifesaver.
Brilliant tackle from Croft. Missed tackle in midfield. You just can't get away with that. And Burns, sensible option, goes round to Alangi, but he just can't cope with the pace of Croft coming back. Bright start by Gloucester. Sometimes when you go into a tackle, two players going into the same tackle can put each other off their stride, bang into your own teammate, and you create that missed tackle.
Let me do it.
I think a shoulder ball, remember the try from last night? The shoulder ball was called there with Sharples on the outside. He sold him as a decoy, went himself. It's good play, actually going with a call, but then seeing what's happening in front of you and changing your mind and reacting to it. Very, very, very good play.
You like Freddie Burns?
I do, yeah. I like him. I think he's a talented runner. I think the game is progressing now. I think the 10 is having to become more of a runner. He's got to have the kicking attributes as well, but you've got to be able to take the line on and beat defenders, and this guy can certainly do that.
Had a contract at the end of the season, which hasn't gone unnoticed by Gloucester, and doubtless wouldn't have gone unnoticed by other clubs as well. That's for a little later in the season, but they've got some negotiating to do to tie down young Freddie Burns.
Leicester slightly fortunate there. Marcos Ayerza doesn't make any sort of movement on the hit. Gloucester get the initial shove going forward. Probably just stood up a little bit too early. Really important for Leicester that they use that weight in the front and the strength in the front, but they've got to win the initial hit.
Sense as well just then off the kick of Harrison of Austin's breeze, Austin's wind, if you like.
Sorry about that.
It's strong.
Look at the flag, look at the touch judge's flag.
Line up one by James. This is Tyndall.
Not held in the tackle.
Tackle made by Woods, but Tyndall was allowed to get up and go again. This is Lawson, that was neatly done. On to Harden, who has impressed so much over the last few months. Lawson again. Finds Strokosh, the two Scots combining. Trying to make sure that, once again, Gloucester are pressing towards Leicester's 22. Burns flings it wide. Neatly done by James to Tyndall, and then Vinokola herring towards the corner where he scored the try that snatched it late on last season, loses possession.
Guys, I wanted to have another look at Croft, how much work he does off the ball, and his pace in the back row is so vital. Watch him here at the line-out. He's there at the front of the line-out. I've isolated him. Look how far away he is from the ball. He's miles away from the ball. He's moving in position to defend. He realises there's a danger. Now, this is what pace gives you. I don't know many back rows in the world that can make that much ground up and make a tackle on someone like Burns. His pace around the field is vital. That's why he's so important to Leicester Tigers.
We were watching the former England captain in the wars last night. Is he an FEC, Austin? Is he the next England captain, do you think?
I think he's got the potential to be. And I think there's 2 or 3 other guys that put their hands up as well, but you've got to be first choice. And the one player for England throughout this entire last 12 months who's probably been first choice is Tom Croft.
Yeah, played his part in every match during England's World Cup campaign. All 5 of them. Flood didn't have as big a role as he would have wanted. He finds Murphy, who probably feels the same about his trip down there with Ireland. Still cleared away by Ollie Morgan. Here is Flood, whose return to the side, along with so many World Cup players, has coincided with an upturn in Leicester fortunes. One of those returnees, Ayerza, tries to make some ground. Flood once again keeps it low, pokes it through against the breeze, picked up by Sharples, who was perhaps a little bit unfortunate not to go to the World Cup. And big Les hoofs it agriculturally into touch.
I would have liked to have seen Toby Flood attack that with ball in hand down this 15-metre channel, because Gloucester had failed to bring their defence from the open side. Leicester had lots of numbers, but just using the opportunity to pin Gloucester back and perhaps targeting Vinokola. Kicking's not one of his biggest strengths, you'd think.
Leicester's 4th line. 3 of them have now been secured. This is Waldron. Oh, it's a shame he slipped there because he was making meaningful ground.
Leicester have got a free shot. Referee JP Doyle playing advantage.
Harden was the man who's been picked out. Picked up by Harrison. Here goes Flood. It's all a little bit flat. Castrogiovanni was caught on the gain line.
Number 3 off feet.
And they will come back for the penalty given against the tight head prop Rupert Harden.
And towards me, there.
Most improved forward last season, according to the forwards coach Carl Hogg. And they've gone for the kick at goal, which means we can have another word with Oz.
Yeah, just actually Ben was completely right, and it took me by shock, so it took me a little time to clip it up. But if you have a look here, Tigers are actually 6-on-3 on the blind side. All these players are available for passes. There's a lot of space there, and Toby Flood can take the ball to the line, distribute to the outside, isolate the number 2, and you've got 4 in the outside channel against Sharples, one of which is Alassana Tuolangi. And I'm sure he'd quite fancy the ball in that situation. I know what they're trying to do, into the wind, get the ball on the floor, make Gloucester turn, but like Ben said, you've got to take those opportunities when they arise.
Oh, that is a really good kick against the breeze. He struck that beautifully And Leicester lead early on at Kingston by 3 points to 0.
I think the Tigers will take that. Gloucester have put them under a certain amount of pressure with the breaks from Burns.
Head at scrums. Number 3.
A couple of other Vinocola when he dropped the ball. With the way the possession's gone, 15 minutes into the game, the Tigers will set up for 3 points.
Gordon takes the ball.
Ball is inside the 22.
Onto the 22. Still inside the 22 though, we heard JP Doyle say, which means it can be kicked directly into touch should Sam Harrison want to do that. And those box kicks at the moment might need to be rethought because they're making precious ground.
If you're going to kick it into touch, there's no point putting height on it at the moment because it's just going to get blown backwards. If you're going to kick it to compete and let Alex Tuolangi chase after the ball as he was there, then fine, put a bit of height on, give him enough time to get there.
Ball won by Lawson, just. A big tackle came in from 12 trees
11
on
Gloucester
Burns. But it wasn't that attracted JP Doyle's attention, it was the knock-on.
You're talking about the box kick from a scrum half there. When you're into the wind, normally, there's no wind, you kick with the ball with a bit of backspin, so you kick underneath the ball and it spins back on itself. Now, when you're into the wind, there's no point doing that because it'll just take it back over your head. You've got to kick it the other way, so you almost kick it toe over toe, so it's got top spin on. You try and get it onto the floor, like Ben was saying, to compete. Difficult kick to do, though, especially now because at the breakdowns, within your own 22, scrum halves are under more pressure than they've ever been under, so it's a hard skill to get.
Touch! Pause!
Have Ben Youngs
Leicester number 3.
on the bench.
Leicester number 3.
Leicester this time a little over-eager. Martin Castrogiovanni concedes the free kick, which is taken quickly by Lawson, who finds Tyndall. Tackle made by Waldrum. Lawson again. This is Strokosz. Lawson to Nick Wood. Lewis Deacon working hard to try and get control over the ball, but he was always outnumbered. Burns with a pass that was flat.
Tackler assist! Advantage. Tackler assist.
And then the penalty is conceded by Leicester. Burns knows that, so the kick towards the corner was a gamble worth taking.
The penalty
7.
that he's called
Sorry,
is that
6.
Tom Croft
6.
was part of the initial tackle when he got onto the ball, and he didn't release his hands when the tackle actually hit the floor. Here's the tackle coming in. Flood. Yeah, Croft stays on his feet, never releases his hands. You've got to make a real effort to show the referee you come off the ball before you re-attack it.
Before Gloucester can take their penalty, some concern for Martin Castrogiovanni. That's the first choice tight head again this afternoon after Dan Cole played in the win against Ulster last weekend. Cole amongst those on the bench, Castro back on his feet. It's an aspect of the game that has caught a lot of people's eyes in the last month or so, Ben, that business of being the second tackler, and it seems to be being penalised much more at the moment.
Yeah, I think when that interpretation was, or the edict from the IRB that it was going to be refereed properly came back in, we had that period of time where there was some box ticking going on and the referees gave us, we see the kick go over. We saw a lot of the referees box ticking and making sure that they pinged it, and then they eased off a bit, as is natural, you know, when it wasn't front of mind. I think they've just had a little reminder that they've got to referee that area in order to speed the game up again.
Deservedly, Gloucester, via Freddie Burns, are level on a blustery old day in the West Country. Andy Flood will be looking forward to working with the wind in the second half. Charlie Sharples gathers in the restart, runs straight into Shooter. Oh, dear me, that was a collision that everyone felt in the ground.
It was JP Doyle saying the tackles around the shoulders. I don't think it was.
10.
This is Tyndall. Tackle was made by Woods, filling in for the injured Julian Salvi today. Craig Newby injured. We've barely seen Woods in recent months, but he's got a big role to play today on the open side for the Tigers. Murphy's kick almost goes backwards. Not quite, but you get the idea, and you've got a real sense there of how strong the wind is. Gloucester will profit, and Burns will use it. Oh, about that from Tuolangi. Well, we won't worry too much about the kick, but it was the quality of the hands, Potter's hands.
This deliberately doesn't put his left hand onto the ball just to make sure we got it. Unbelievable bit of handling skill. Watch this, the right hand comes up.
That's just showing off, isn't it?
Set your two, set your two.
That is lovely. I love seeing stuff like that.
Get inside the 5.
Richard Cockle won't. He'll be like, get both hands on the ball. He'll be in for a catching session Monday morning.
Davidjuk finds Hamilton, slaps it down to Lawson.
Yeah, fantastic delivery, straight into Lawson's breadbasket. Difficult skill.
Like that was for Murphy. Gathered the ball around his kneecaps. He knew that trouble was coming around the corner, but he got out of it. Here is Tuolangi. This is Flood.
Stay still, guys, stay still.
Jordan Murphy was enveloped in the earlier tackle. He takes the responsibility of the clearing kick. It's picked up by Morgan. That was wonderful. This is Vanakola. And Aguja doing his level best to hold him up. Even with the help of Harrison, it's a thankless task. Lawson to Akapusi and Guerra. He's held up by Deacon. Burns now, where's he going? Finds Strokosz. Dragged to the ground by Croft, who is up on his feet quickly to rejoin the defensive line. This is Wood. Trying to find Tyndall. And then Billy 12trees comes in and eventually does tip up Tyndall. Trinder very nearly got away. Lawson shows just how effective a box kick can be. It looked from this distance as if it clipped the line, but touch judge on the far side decided that it hadn't. It wouldn't have been far away. But as it is, Leicester will get the 22 dropout. Jordan Murphy enjoying a run of games in Leicestershire for the first time really since he was injured back in January. And he's just overtaken Ben Kay in Premiership appearances. Whatever happened to him? Ooh, restart. Looked like he was heading back Leicester's way before Hamilton cut in front of Croft. Burns clips it through again behind Vanakola, rather Tuolangi. Now Tyndall has had an interesting couple of weeks.
Misbehaviour of England players. 12trees debagging in there.
That's the latest. Trousers down by his ankles.
I'd rather be debagged than have a wedgie, wouldn't you? There is a choice.
Gloucester, there.
OK, here it goes.
Big line out, and it was well won by Croft. Croft and Shooter combining, but Sharples can relaunch Gloucester. The ball drifting forward on the wind. Gloucester need to be a little bit aware of that. Henry Trinder, another opportunity to press his claim in midfield, but he was up to no good on the ground.
Stop competition with 15.
Those players who was flitting around England's radar back end of last season, and for very good reason.
Struggling for distance. Gloucester fans not happy with that decision.
So with the wind blowing from left to right, it perhaps comes as no surprise to see Gloucester bossing the territory. It'll be instructive to see if that remains the same in the second half when Leicester have the elements. We will see. They've lost that line out. Gloucester's line out defensively is working well at the moment.
Release tackler. Thank you.
Leicester are being made to work very hard. This is James. Tyndall Still can't control the attempted pass, but then that was ambitious from Shooter, and Tuolangi needed to be very aware, and he'll now chase his own kick.
You asked for it.
But we will come back for the knock-on, and I think JP Doyle was
always under pressure,
responding to Toby Flood asking for the knock-on to be given.
Decision. It's definitely a knock-on.
Time off, please, guys.
But Alex Tuolangi had put a really nice little chip through. Leicester now have to start again with this wind in their face at a scrum. With Gloucester in their full defensive line. But Tuolangi had found a nice little bit of space in behind. Would put the Cherry and Whites under a bit of pressure.
It's just mark your cards. Next weekend, rather frighteningly, the first weekend of December. If you have done your Christmas shopping, then hopefully you'll have time to join us at Welford Road for one of the games of the season. Leicester against Northampton. And then on Sunday we're travelling down the M1, making sure we don't go over the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit to get there in plenty of time for Saracens against London Irish. Next weekend on ESPN HD, continued coverage of this season's Aviva Premiership. 15 minutes to half-time, 3 apiece here at a blustery King's home. Toby Flood with the first penalty. Freddie Burns with the equaliser. It's been largely Gloucester, but they'll be aware, Oz, that they've had the elements in this first half.
Leicester go in 3-3 at half-time, they'll be delighted, because they'll know any pressure they're under, they can clear the line very easily and get territory. And once you've got territory, you've always got an advantage.
A really interesting decision from JP Doyle, saying head on head, it's dangerous play, and I've already asked you to sort it out. It's the props lining up, not in their gaps, but head to head before they go down.
Nick Wood on Castro Giovanni. Interesting to see how many, well, there we go. Gloucester's penalties conceded, 5. Leicester just 1. Which, given the fact that they are playing against the wind and they are under pressure, is laudable. Harrison to Flood. This is Waldron, who's back on his feet and very quickly tipped off them.
No feet,
Harrison told that he can't use his spade to get the ball back. Flood juggles but gets away with it. This is Aguja. Harrison again. Waldron once again. 8 on 8. Waldron and Narroway, 2 men battling for the England shirt, doubtless. Castro Giovanni got the ball away beautifully to Murphy, and as Murphy tried to do likewise, he ran out of space around the back of the cherry and white shirt and lost the ball forward. Austin?
Well, we spoke about Freddie Burns before as a running 10, but sometimes he's got to realise when he's got numbers. If we have a look at this, he comes around the blind side and they're numbered off. Now, if he runs straight and just draw and pass, draw and pass, draw and pass, you create the space on the outside for the last man. But by going to the outside channel, you allow people to step in. If you don't just pick people off one by one, you take all the space away, and that's what happened on a couple of occasions, actually.
You could see how far that Tuolangi had stepped in as well. He'd almost created a 2-man overlap by stepping in.
When you do your analysis, you know Tuolangi loves to step in, so you want to run at him, make him step in. If you've got someone outside, it might hurt when you get hit, but it feels a lot better when your teammate's scoring 5.
Decent Leicester shove at the scrum, putting Gloucester under lots of pressure. And Harrison is penalised, but in the long-term scheme of things, a Leicester scrum that bossed Gloucester's in the LV Cup match last month, having a little moment of glory there.
Yeah, disappointing for Harrison. The front row boys couldn't understand what they'd been penalised for when they got up, but it's a big swing with the wind behind them. Leicester managing to keep Gloucester in their own half for the first time in the game. Let's see, they get that initial position right. Look at Ayertza, straight as a die. Arden turning in. Harrison gives it away for coming round while the bind's still there. And now they're right down, defending their own 22 again.
I looked to Austin for a little bit of additional information on that scrum, and he gave me the look that suggested, don't turn to me, like I'd know.
Foot on the line, turnover was good.
What would he know about scrum halves giving away penalties?
La 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 la.
The wind is, we're getting the shot with the line out, you'll see the touch judge's flag.
Line out one by Will James.
Backwards.
Busy season so far. Dave Atwood's now at Bath, of course. Alex Brown's recovering from the shoulder operation. His take releases Vainikolo.
Great tackle by 12 Trees, lifting the legs of Vainikolo. Saved a leg drive there.
Trimmed a half through the gap, but it was closed by Woods. Harden provides the link, then does the other prop, Wood, and they run around Flood. But the link then broke down between Vainikolo and Akapusi Ongera.
In line, good call, thank you.
Just got a little bit flat, Vainikolo. Good hands from Wood. Vainikolo had to check his run, tried to spin in the tackle and pass at the same time. Ongera had gone past him too.
Let's go scrum down, please.
And 3 of those 4 errors have been perpetrated by that man. Good statistics that don't tend to go unmissed by coaches in the Monday morning review sessions, Benedict.
Absolutely.
Waiting for you.
I never had any drop passes.
I'm not entirely sure why I said that with such an accusatory tone. I was just making the point. So.
Slip. His feet have slipped this side.
How do we describe this game after half an hour? It's not really taken light, but there's this fascinating grapple going on for control.
I think Leicester will be delighted because it's 3-3 and the wind is a big factor today. And it's only up, we've had a little look at the weather forecast, it's going to stay the same or get slightly stronger. So as the teams tire, and when they bring Ben Youngs on in the second half with maybe 30 minutes to go, and they can camp themselves down, as Gloucester are now, in Gloucester's half, I think Leicester will be pretty happy if they went in 3-3 at half-time.
That's a decent response from the Gloucester scrum. Means that Leicester's ball is scrappy, it's more than that, it's a penalty.
Thomas Waldron coming in from the wrong side there. He was annoyed, actually. I think Harrison was tackled a little bit off the ball before he had it, and he came in and tried to clear him out.
It's the problem when your scrum half gets caught behind you in the scrum. You try and get there quickly enough. Yeah, dead right.
Strokosh was there quickly, and he forced the penalty from Waldron. Did have a fabulous game against Ulster last week. A game when Leicester started to look, perhaps for the first time this season, a little bit like their old selves. Not spectacular, but just doing the little bits well, defending brilliantly as much as anything. One of those old-fashioned Leicester wins, and it certainly gave hope to the locals. Waldron was central to that. But Freddie Burns, 41 metres out, but with a home win behind his back to put the Cherry and Whites ahead for the first time. Yeah, put it in the air, set it on its way, the wind will do the rest, and Gloucester, I think deservedly, heading into the final 10 minutes of this first half, do take the lead for the first time.
Yeah, they do deserve it. I think they'll be disappointed not to be further ahead. Freddie Burns just looks so relaxed, so composed. That kick there, never a doubt in his mind that it was going to go over.
Flood goes long with the restart, picks out Rory Lawson.
Just hold on, wait.
Who finds Burns again. Puts it in the air and the wind does the rest. And I make it sound simple, Austin.
That pretty much is. Rugby is simple.
You make most things sound simple, mate, to be honest.
In you come, Leicester, in you come.
I always find it's best to keep it that way when I'm talking to you two. Waldron takes the line out. Harrison to Flood. Here is Waldron.
9 had the ball when was tackled. Release, tackler! Step, please, you must step. Guards. Thank you.
Flood to Murphy. Croft appearing outside. Harrison has a relatively quick ball to work with. This is Shooter, oh my goodness. That was a Gloucester welcoming committee.
That's what you call a read. Knew exactly the play that was coming, Gloucester. Missing a couple of decent bits of defence from Gloucester in that last phase. Here it comes, ball behind Castrogiovanni's back. Strokosh and Gira, the welcoming committee, flying up with a pincer movement. They knew that Castrogiovanni wasn't running an intelligent line because he wasn't looking like he was getting the ball. He started to slow up before the ball had passed over his line, which meant they could follow the next man in.
That's how effective the Scottish slab of muscle is at running effectively into other blokes. And he was helped there by a Fijian slab of muscle as well. Kind of moment during a match that people in the shed will be talking about until closing time later on tonight, up at the air balloon or wherever they're going to be drinking their drinks. Burns.
Wait, 7.
Again on the breeze. Tuolangi, he's got Murphy up in support. Tuolangi decided to put his own boot through the ball. Did it effectively enough. This is Morgan to Burns. Vinacolo's outside him. Trinder's beyond him. Vinacolo, though, decides to take the tackle of Ajertza. Lawson to Burns. James was offering himself.
2 out.
Freddie Burns held on.
5.
Morgan flings it wide to Narroway, who ran straight back into Harrison, who did just enough to bring him down. Strokosh, who, along with Ngera, provided the big hit on Shooter moments ago. Here goes James from a Welsh lock.
Missed it.
Ben Woods is working hard on the ground, but legally and slowing things up.
3.
Castrogiovanni told to watch himself. And then Ajertza comes in, making life tough for Lawson. This is Trinder, ball under his arm. Fine Sharples, two of Gloucester's youngest guns, combining with each other to test Leicester's defence. Into the final 5 minutes of the first half. And while it remains just a 3-point Cherry and White lead, Leicester might take that, and then James goes in.
To be fair, it's a headbutt, but Jordan Murphy had stuck his head under Will James's first. He's up on his feet again, Murphy.
And he's up on his feet very quickly because he realises that Gloucester and Vinacolo are bearing down on the try line here. Vinacolo will take some stopping. Toby Flood did brilliantly in the circumstances. And it's beginning to boil.
I think it's beginning to boil because Gloucester are getting increasingly frustrated at the breakdown. Leicester are really pushing the boundaries at the breakdown with the interpretation of JP Doyle. I think is a referee can let you get away with more than most. And it's stopping Gloucester from getting that continuity, and that's what they're really thriving for and looking for today. Leicester are frustrating the hell out of them at every single breakdown, as we saw with the Jordan Murphy incident a little bit earlier.
We're not on time.
Yeah, Murphy tries to put his head underneath Will James. He thinks, I'll get my own back. Actually, Jordan probably makes a little bit of a meal of that.
2 receivers at the moment, and you come.
Shooter finds Deacon. Barely played this year in the Premiership, Lewis Deacon. This is just his second game. Once again, the clearing kick is a problematical thing. 21-year-old, still getting used to life as a Premiership starter, really, but Richard Cockrell still feeling that Ben Youngs isn't quite match ready, not ready to start a game yet. Youngs on the bench. Davidic finds Narroway. Lawson as well, quickly off. Vinacolo was offering himself. And there was an offside as well.
Okay? 11 knocked on, you deliberately played the ball, have to give a penalty.
Number of handling errors, Austin. As much as Vinacolo offers so much in attack, the handling errors would be frustrating from a coach's point of view.
I think that's the 3rd time he's knocked it on in close quarters, but you know with Les that if he does take that ball in that situation, he's going to get you through the gap. This is actually a good ball. He steps back, and there's an opportunity there. And I think he just sees, is it Woods on the inside? Yeah, it's Woods on the inside. He's going to half hit him in the tackle. You've got to do the first skill first. Take the ball.
Stay on the ground. Stay on the ground. No early jumps.
Last 2 minutes.
Over 15. Line out's over.
Line out won by Skivington. Flood finds Waldron. Took on Freddie Burns, expecting to win the battle, and he did. Floodlights beginning to do their job at Kingsholm. This is a Gouja. Every time you saw him play for Argentina at the World Cup, he impressed you. Flood to Waldron. Now 12 trees, who's not really been involved much in this first half. Otherwise, Tuolangi, who's gone off the boil a little bit in the last 10-15 minutes. They've been largely on defensive detail, but it's a real bum fight for the ball on the floor. And finally, JP Doyle runs out of patience and penalises Leicester for handling the ball on the ground.
Highlighted Harrison, a little bit slow to get the ball away, but this isn't his fault. He's not getting it presented in perfect fashion. But Leicester spend an awful lot of time during the week making sure that the ball, they do their presentation skills. Richard Cockrell, a stickler for that. He'll be disappointed that Harrison's getting a hard time being caught at the breakdown by the Gloucester players. Here, at the last minute, rolls out, he gets it, gets away with it. It's good play behind the back. Tuolangi carts it up, and look at this. Cannot push that ball, so it comes rolling out, hits him in the shins, and he's caught by the Gloucester guards.
Get outside, please.
Leicester playing at the moment with the advantage because Gloucester knocked on from the line out. Here goes Ajertse.
Man back to his feet.
Clicking down the final few seconds of this first half. Harrison to Castro Giovanni.
Ball available. Thank you.
Time up. Harrison knew it. That will do. Toby Floods gave Leicester the lead with his first penalty. Freddie Burns with 2 of his own. Means that Gloucester have the lead at the break, but given that they've had the breeze, will it be a big enough lead? The thoughts of David Flatman and co to come after the break. Half-time, 6-3.
Now, to get the full picture of round 9 of the Aviva Premiership, you need to hone in on ESPN on Monday night at 8 p.m. I think Austin and Andy Gomersall, who's standing in for Peter Richards, who's on baby watch, will be taking you through all the best bits of the weekend's action. And good luck to Pete and Mrs. Richards when the baby does finally drop. Let's quickly get an update from the Medeski Stadium, if babies do drop. I'm not sure that's a technical term. Nothing to report, 0-0. We'll keep you in the loop as the afternoon goes on. OK, let's hook up with Sarah, who's prowling the touchline.
I am indeed. Thanks, Mark. I'm here with Gloucester speedster Tom Boyce. We're talking about a first half where defences were on top and error, not allowing either side to build any kind of momentum.
No, I mean, unfortunately, we gave too many errors. We were getting some momentum, and then that final pass killed us. And that's been a difference between today between the two teams so far. I mean, Leicester have been in there in R22. They've had the same with a couple of knock-ons, and I think that's what's been an error-strewn first half, I think.
Yeah, but how much of an issue is that for you? Because like in the last few weeks now, it's not creating the chances that's been the problem. It's the actual finishing touches.
Yeah, I mean, similar to last week, we had numerous opportunities to finish the game off, or at least get some tries on the board, and it's that final pass and something we worked on this week, but it's still in our game a little bit, and we need to make sure this second half that that final pass is executed well to put us on the front foot, or get that try-scoring pass away. So it's key that we go into this half cutting down our errors.
Yeah, so will the winners of this game then be the ones that will be making the less errors and as well keeping their discipline?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with this win, unfortunately we're against it, so we're going to have to make sure that we're really on top of our game. But I think you're right. The less errors, will be the team that come out and win on the top.
Lovely. Thanks for your time, Tom. Okay, I'll hand you back to the commentators.
Thank you, Sarah. And there's our first talking point at the start of the second half. Ben Youngs, first time we've seen him in the Premiership since the final last May. And England's scrum half is on to replace Sam Harrison, which I don't think comes as a great deal of surprise to either of you two.
I think it could. pan out to be his perfect sort of game to come on. The wind's behind them, so Gloucester are going to be expecting Leicester to be kicking plenty. They might drop a couple of people back to cover that, which will open up a little hole for that man. There's no one better at finding those gaps around the breakdown.
Let's not take anything away from Sam Harrison. I think the only thing you can say that he's done wrong is he's over-eager. He tries so hard to impress. He's a young man. He will get better game by game. And that little part about picking up when to take the ball out of the rucks just comes with experience.
Let's see how Leicester deal with this breeze in the second half, how Gloucester deal with it as well. Runaway had his heart in his mouth there. And Guerra. Wouldn't be a surprise to see Gloucester keep the ball in hand a little bit more, use their big runners. They've got plenty of them.
Wait, guys, wait. Now.
Freddie Burns, the first to take on the breeze. Jordan Murphy, the first Leicester player to try and use it to his advantage, and I don't think he picked up too many four-leaf clovers this morning.
He does that a lot. When the ball's kicked to him, he doesn't feel there's anything on. It's a shot to nothing. Gloucester have a drop out. Leicester can set up some players behind the ball to support Jordan if this ball's kicked long.
Gloucester will have to be smart in this half. OK, in your own 22, you don't want to play too much rugby, but once they get past the 40, they've got to look after possession. They can do that well. They can play multi-phase games, but they've got to cut out those areas. If those come in, it'll just pay into Leicester's hands.
There's the replacement. This is Billy 12trees. Timely return from his ankle injury after the one suffered by Andy Forsyth last weekend against Ulster. It's the man of the match in the Heineken Cup, Thomas Waldron. Youngs flings it to Flood. He's an England ring. Youngs to Flood.
Castrogiovanni just delayed that pass slightly, which meant that Vainikolu could step in on Jordan Murphy. He hadn't done that. It was a two-man overlap.
Tackler off.
Shooter with the ball.
Slowing with your arm.
And then there was a Gloucester arm slowing the ball up illegally, so we're playing an advantage here. 12trees finds Waldron, who finds Tuolangi. 12trees has chased the kick, and Freddie Burns was chased by 12trees, and Gloucester under enormous pressure here. Waldron tries to rip it back, but we can see that it's cherry and white possession. There may well have been a hand used at the bottom of there. It's a right old mess. And the upshot is a scrum to Leicester 5 metres out.
Yeah, good start for the Tigers. Great play by Toby Flood. He calls for this ball. Youngs goes the wrong way, gets a late call from Flood, who's got a three-man overlap, and it's just simple hands straight through. Tuolangi on the outside. Puts the little chip ahead. He knows the pace of Sharples is going to get to him. And then it's all about the pressure of the follow-up and how Gloucester deal with it. At first, it looks like they've done a pretty good job, secure it. But as it comes out, not quite secure enough, and now a big scrum, 5 out for the Tigers. Will they try and go for the pushover? I'm pretty sure it's driven into the heart like a Blackpool rock.
Pause! Engage!
But they will go for this pushover try.
What are you talking about?
I've had some metaphors today.
Tiger Gloucester, loose side Leicester.
I mean...
Guys, if you just look behind the scrum, look where Alassana Tuolangi stood. He stood right there. Now, you're only 10 metres out. I don't know what options you would have, but I'd quite fancy him short here through this channel. Or on the outside line, as we saw last year, on a decoy behind under the posts.
Good spot, Austin, because the other thing it does is it means the 7, who's being asked by his prop to scrummage hard, is a little bit more wary of doing that.
Picked up by Waldron. Close attention from Angera. Another penalty coming Leicester's way. Flood will chase it. If he gathers, it'll be brilliant, which he does. Now, did he have control of the ball when it went down? He gets up confidently enough.
I don't think he's got
that's confident.
I don't think he's got it.
Sucking through his teeth.
No. If no try, I'm coming back for a penalty. 9 Gloucester in the side of the tackle.
50-50, he says.
You think?
No.
I think he's given himself a bit too big odds there.
I just think he's knocked it on with his right hand, but I haven't seen it yet.
Look, he's gone past that.
It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see whether
this angle will tell you.
I think that's a
I
try.
don't know, actually.
Oh, it could be.
He's not lost possession of the ball.
There you go.
His fingers are still in contact.
Yes.
One finger has
That's a
still
try.
got control of that.
I'll tell you what, that is a tough
It
decision.
won't be popular here because they'll have seen it on the big screen, and it's very difficult to see from that far away, that little finger.
Index finger, wasn't it? When you see the other angle from behind the posts.
One finger stays on the ball, or you can't see with the leg in the way.
This is the angle that you see the right index finger.
We're watching the same pictures that David Matthews, the television match official in our trucks in the car park, is watching. Two fingers on the ball initially.
One finger is still on the ball.
That is a try. He's done really well to get there.
Well, he thinks that that finger is the most significant one in Kingsholm at the moment. Here we go. Here we go. David Matthews disagrees. That's a big decision.
It's a penalty to... The reason he's got the tee on already, that it's already been given a penalty if the try wasn't given, but I think that is a big call. It's all about control of the ball, still having control of the ball, but one finger counts.
It's downward pressure, isn't it?
No, downward pressure isn't a phrase that's in the law book. It's just having the ball in your possession, and technically speaking, if your finger is on the ball.
So what happens if it's in your pocket? Is it in your possession then, Nick?
Shut up. Leicester may well have been ahead, perhaps they ought to have been ahead, but they're level. Flood's penalty, 6 apiece, but how close was this?
The ball his hand's still on the ball when it hits the ground, or a finger is still on the ball as it hits the ground. Good to get a ruling on that.
Well, the rule is you've got to have the ball under control. And actually, technically, I suspect he's got a minuscule amount of downward pressure on there as well, if you want to use that definition, but it isn't the one the officials would be looking at. Anyway, another one for the pub later on, another one for the air balloon on the way home. Let's get back to what is a captivating game, and that bounces kindly for Burns, and he's done enough good stuff this afternoon to deserve a little bit of fortune. Always good to have the support of the wife.
Gloucester, get on your side.
It's a little smile on his face. I'll concentrate on the match, Mike. Deacon gathered the ball.
Cam, what do you want?
But were they beyond 15 metres? Is that the rule? It's a Gloucester scrum.
Crunch!
Nick Wood
Touch!
up against Castro Giovanni.
Pause! Engage!
Lots of hair against no hair.
Way by 8.
Taken by Narroway, got the ball away to Lawson. Finds Tyndall. Tackled by Flood.
Great counter up by Aviva. Oh, I think he's been done for actually hitting the man without the ball. But he came straight through the middle of the ruck. You cannot play the receiver or the scrum up, the guy who's playing in the scrum half position until he's actually got his hands on the ball. So the first bit by Aviva in the red and green scrum hat's fine. Goes through the middle, takes Barnacle, and his hands are already on the ball. think that is another poor decision.
So does he, judging by the shake of his head. He's enjoying lots more game time now after he was used sparingly in the World Cup. And he's made a real difference to Leicester's general improvement, but not necessarily in this match if this goes over. Which it does. Freddie Burns has kicked beautifully off the tee. And into the win, they lead by 9 points to 6.
I think that's the key. Into the win, they've got to keep that scoreboard ticking over Gloucester.
Updates from the 3 o'clock kick-off at the Medeski. Nick Robinson and Tom Homer have swapped penalties early on in the Thames Valley.
22.
It's been a game of penalties here so far as well, although it might have been a game of tries. But David Matthews decided that Toby Flood didn't quite have control of the ball with his one solitary digit as it bounced over the line. Fascinatingly poised.
Stand still, guys.
Cleared away by Trinder off his left boot, only as far as Murphy. Here goes Aguja. Waldron was calling for it, but it was a long pass, and Tyndall was looking for a potential interception. Flood to 12 trees. Tackle made on Matt Smith. Here goes Youngs, who came on at half-time to Flood. This is Zertza. Tackle made by Darren Davidjuk. Made big strides in the last season or so. Here goes Smith. Try last weekend against Ulster proved decisive. Who will get the first one here at Kingsholm this afternoon? Will there be a first one? Youngs to Flood. He was looking for Tuolangi, who'd started his run early and very nearly gathered it as well.
Brilliant line by Tuolangi. Did really well to stay in the blind spot of Sharples. Sharples just had his eye on the ball coming down on top of him. Tuolangi came out of the dark shadows behind him and very, very nearly takes the ball from in front.
How are we doing, physio?
We got there ahead of Sharples. Not for the first time. Leicester have been undone by a ball just millimetres out of reach.
Okay. Send him on, please, Wayne.
And I think that latest blow for Darren Davidjuk signals the end of his shift. He's replaced by the Scottish World Cup hooker Scott Lawson. I guarantee we will see lots more of the proud Cornishman Davidjuk as the season wears on. He'll have a big role to play, but no more today. Lawson takes his place in the middle of Gloucester's scrum.
Scrum half. Just see it now. No, it's the tape side. Yeah, sorry.
Where's the mark, sir? Where's the mark?
Crouch! Sorry, no, recall. Let's go. Crouch! Touch! Pause! Engage!
It's a good initial hit from Gloucester, and they managed to hang on to it.
Stay up 13!
Sharples came away with the ball. Wilson will deliver it to Trinder, who was under some pressure from Flood, but gets good distance. Here goes Murphy. He tipped the ball on and then ran straight into Trinder. Burns just keeps his white boots away from the whitewash and then finds a decent enough angle. Leicester will have the line-outs on Gloucester's 10-metre line.
Battle of the two number 8s is fascinating, isn't it? Waldron, Narrowway, big competition for who's going to get a spot in that England squad, the wider squad, when it's next announced. Waldron carrying more, making more yardage. Look at that defensive effort. Luke Narroway's doing the grip.
Line that's over.
Youngs to Aguja. Tackle was made by Burns, but it comes back to Youngs. Here goes 12 Trees. Tackle by Harden. Shooter. Floored by the fly half.
Tell you what, that's another.
You've got to play the ball.
His head is on the ground. He locked onto the ball. Ike Tyndall has got through so much good work around the breakdown. There is this call to open the game up. You've got to support your own weight. You see he's holding on, he's not trying to play the ball, but his right hand's on the ball. That is not a penalty. In fact, for me, that should have gone the other way.
Surprised Leicester didn't go for goal though, with the wind behind.
Yeah, maybe something that they're due a try. They came very close to one 5-10 minutes ago.
I saw in the warm-up, they were holding their jumpers up in the air when they got down to driving range, making sure that the opposition can't drive in too early. Just to do it there.
Doing there, overcomplicated it. Players running in front of each other. Waldron and Leicester thwarted.
I don't think it was overcomplicated, just they didn't get their drive set up properly. The two men at the back panicked, tried to peel off and go away from the red and white pressure that was coming towards them. Unfortunately, it's the old truck and trailer. The man in front blocking the opposition from getting to the ball. It's held by the man behind.
How about that for a clearing kick from Freddie Burns?
Fantastic kick up the channel. Kept his weight over the ball, low trajectory. Very, very good kick.
It's magnificent, just magnificent. And it pins Leicester 40-50 metres back. Still Gloucester possession with Lawson. Goes for James, but it's nicked by Deacon. Now Youngs to Aguja. This is Flood. He's got 12 Trees outside, but Flood's again on the wind. This is Ollie Morgan. Extra spring in his step these days after a new 3-year deal that's been sorted out. Almost got to Jordan Murphy. Flood once again. Only picks out a man in cherry and white. This one's the fly half. That's a magnificent kick. Magnificent kick.
This is absolutely sensational. Watch the way he positions the ball in his hands. You can't quite see 12 feet in the way, but he puts it so he sides on, so he spins the ball in the air. He knows when it lands, it's going to spin out to the right. Absolutely gorgeous that was. And then you two hit each other in the face with your microphones. What a brilliant day.
It was only each other. Nick hit me. No need to be like that, Nick.
And then Jim Hamilton
Side entry, number 5.
rather spoils it by giving away the penalty. But it was one of those kicks from Burns, a little moment within the match that sometimes you think might turn the match, but they've not been able to capitalise because of Hamilton's penalty. However, Leicester still camped deep inside their own half from a Leicester man. Accent chiselled in Coventry rather than Cowdenbeath, but he's a proud Scot these days.
Line it's over, inside 5.
Cleared away by Youngs. And then the ball is dropped by Sharples. And that brings the pressure back on the cherry and whites. Seemed to have it under control, but seemed just to take his eye off the ball at the last minute as well.
Guys, just look back at Freddie Burns and the way he positions the ball as it comes through. Look at him, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He puts the ball side on and kicks the inside of the ball, which means it's going to spin to the right when it lands. Oh, I love seeing stuff like that. That is why forwards can't play in the backs, because they can't do stuff like that. And they're stupid.
Touch!
What's that got to do with the forwards? You couldn't do that either. That's probably why he never got picked.
I could do it with both feet, mate. And you know it.
Austin's living proof. A little bit of knowledge, very dangerous thing.
Patience all round here, please, boys. Stay where you are. Don't move off the mark, please.
Lawson and Wood steadfastly refusing to involve themselves in the delights of November.
Pause!
Not a hair to be seen on their heads.
See on the far side, Tigers going forward with Aviva, but he's hinged. It's Harden who gets the penalty against him. And we saw that Aviva had hinged down, but the ruling is that Harden had bound on the arm and pulled him down. And Shed explaining to the officials exactly what they think of their credentials to referee this game. Aviva struggles to get his bind up, which means he turns in, but you can see the bind under the armpit on the arm. It's meant to be over the top on the back.
Shooter finds Skivington.
6 is legal. Let go of his head.
Match that's beginning to build, you feel. Bigger and bigger moments are coming all the time. This is Waldron. He's having to work hard to get that ball back. And Guerra was there. This is Flood. Lots of runners. One of them is Smith, who for almost the first time gets beyond Gloucester's defence. Quick ball now. Youngs to Flood, and he will score. Surely he does.
Brilliant score, brilliant move, orchestrated by the try scorer in the end.
It's just wave after wave, good ball, waves round the corner, defensive line can't get back in position. As you see, lovely line by Smith, but it's this speed of this ruck here. As this ball comes out, defensive lines can't get in position quick enough, and on that angle, there's nothing you can do.
You can see two players attracted to the power of Tuolangi, which just means Flood can delay the ball and realise that he's got the angle to go himself.
Nothing wrong with that one. No need for the television match official there.
Tuolangi coming in late, just making sure. Just needs to be careful. He doesn't get done for the old forearm in the head.
Add the 2 points, so it remains a 2-point lead, but Leicester will settle for that heading into the final quarter of this match. And almost as if to turn the screw, they made a change in the front row as well. They invest hundreds and thousands of pounds in their front row, and it allows them to bring on the likes of Dan Cole when they take off Martin Castrogiovanni. Waldron continues to buff it away in the breeze and do his own job very effectively.
Let go of his head.
20 minutes to go. What a 20 minutes we have as well. Real test of Gloucester's resolve as Vainikolo takes his eye off the ball rather embarrassingly. Trinder spins away to effect the clearance. Murphy. This is Youngs. Oh, it's been intercepted by Narroway. With the entire Shed behind him, is roared to the line.
What a response. Brilliant read by Narroway. Youngs leaves the ball in the air too long.
But as we saw last night with Stephen Donald, you know players are outside there, you know it's windy, the ball's going to hang in the air a little bit longer. Such a high-risk pass. Luke Narroway, you'll see it in a minute, he reads from the outside of the channel, he knows the ball's coming. Jordan Murphy picks off Young here, Young can throw it, Narroway's reading it all the way, he's moving forward earlier even as the ball's in the air. Such an easy intercept when it's such a long pass.
In Young's defence, Narroway had hidden himself perfectly behind Big Jim Hamilton. Totally blind, and then he just accelerates out of his shadow. Great read by that man. Sharple's there to provide the cover if he's not going to make it. But as soon as he got within 5 metres, there's not a chance of him giving that to someone else.
This is an Ashton splashdown as well from a number 8. I think it might be. And in a match that was always going to mean so much to Luke Narroway, what with all that happened before the World Cup with Thomas Waldron. I think the Twitter thing was blown out of all proportion, by the way. It was sent with genuine sincerity. It was just misread by one or two. And that's an interesting conversion that never really looked to threaten the post, but this match is now fizzing. Gloucester have the 3-point lead. Both sides have a try. Narroway with the response for the Cherry Whites.
What a vital score, because Leicester could have just closed this game up a little bit, keep pinning it down into the corners using the wind. Now they've got to continue to attack the game. Brilliant for the neutral watcher.
The restart was taken high above his head by a former Leicester man, Hamilton.
This is a risk. He's no defence on the blind side. Almost impossible now, Nick, to box kick if you've got no one blocking that blind side, because the guys get so close to you, they feel like they're almost on top of you. You have to step a long way back, and then you have to kick over your own shoulder almost. It's a really big skill now for scrum halves box kicking, because it's massive in the game.
What's wrong in that situation with just flinging the ball to the fly half or the full-back and letting them clear it?
Well, he's 20 metres back and he's kicking into the wind, so his kick has to be exceptional. Yours just has to be good.
We've seen other teams, though, haven't we, lengthen their rucks and mauls.
Now, there you go. Gives him more time. The kick's a lot easier, and they can pressurise the catcher.
Murphy was pressurised by Strokosz. Flood did brilliantly to gather that ball off the ground, and then even better to try and find a Gouja, but he was perhaps a little fortunate that it wasn't picked up by Henry Trinder. But a game that's been crackling a little bit like an autumnal bonfire is really beginning to set fire here.
It's really opening up, isn't it? Defences are getting more tired. Mistakes actually being cut out the game.
He's having a good game, though, Flood, isn't he?
Is he on your short list for man of the match?
I think he is, yeah. Still think there's going to be someone who plays a really big part in this game.
Touch!
Well, so far the defining moment is Luke Narroway's interception.
And I was going to say just before then what a difference Youngs had made to Leicester since coming on at half-time, and it was his pass that gave Narroway the run to glory. But Leicester now have the penalty from the scrum, and
number 3 going backwards,
Rupert
turned in, went to floor.
Gets back to his feet rather disconsolately.
Yeah, this time Flood deciding to go for the posts. Youngs, on occasion, you would have expected him to have grabbed hold of that ball and thought, I might have a go from just inside the opposition's half. Not with a wind behind them like this. Good scrum from Leicester, because they come back. Cole does really well. He goes to the ground, but he comes back up and keeps the legs driving. Gloucester win the initial hit. Leicester come back at them, win the penalty.
Interesting to see. Flood's put the ball down exactly where the scrum was, and it's cut up quite a lot, so it might be difficult for his feet.
On the wind, off target.
11.
Gloucester's lead remains a slender one, but it remains intact.
I'm standing there, 3 in the box.
Gloucester making a change. Leslie Vinacolo has been replaced by Johnny May.
Not his best day at the office. A lot of handling errors. Still an impact with
Okay,
ball
let's
in
restart
hand.
the game now. Restart the game, please.
Just too many errors.
His last Premiership try, by the way, the one he scored here against Leicester over a year ago now. Not too many opportunities to try and break that run this afternoon. Ajert, that tackle was an important one. It was made by Strokosz, and ball's been lost forward. Lawson to Narroway to Hamilton. And the ball was kicked up by Sharples, but straight to Tuolani, who will stroll in for the try.
What a finish. To break that first tackle and get his leg speed up again. to mean that Freddie Burns' cover tackle
Try yes or no.
was just too late.
Well, we just have to draw breath for the time being, because once again, Leicester getting the ball over the line, and David Matthews,
with 3 or 4 passes,
the
clean possession,
television
no
match
pressure,
official, just wanted to check. It's all about the grounding, apparently. Burns came across with the tackle, no doubt. And how much does Alassana Tuolangi like scoring against this lot? Hat-trick in the extraordinary draw at Welford Road at the end of last season. And that now means surely he has got 11 tries in 11 Premiership matches against Gloucester, and this one's a biggie.
Look for all the world like Gloucester were going to attack.
Yes.
It's the confirmation of what we've seen is given, but look, all the world as though Gloucester had a good attack. Jim Hamilton timed his pass to perfection. Sharples goes to hit the ball in behind. And what a charge down. But not only that, the wherewithal to pick the ball up, get through that first tackle, and then the sprint to the line.
It's a tough conversion, but it's an important one, because it would take Leicester beyond penalty range. No. Not judging the wind. They will make do with the try. And it was the kick in the end from Sharples that was snaffled by Tuolangi. His 40th try in the Premiership, and he's now scored more Premiership tries than Austin Healey.
Oh, thank you for that, Nick. It's not hard, to be perfectly honest. But the great thing about Alassana is he's not just a big guy. You saw him charge the kick down then, but his pick-up in pace over that short period. Freddie Burns was already motoring across. He had the pace and the acceleration to get himself to the line. He's without doubt one of the top finishers in the league.
Having scored the first try of the match through that man Toby Flood, Leicester very quickly conceded one to Gloucester and Luke Narroway, so the immediate challenge for them is an obvious one. Keep Gloucester out for the next few minutes, and the likes of Ollie Morgan will be doing their damnedest to make sure that they can't. But the game's really loosened up. It was a tight affair, it was a cagey, niggly affair in the first half. Now it's absolutely compelling, and Leicester think they might have won this ball back, and there it is.
They have good use of the referee as Flood slicks as he goes to kick. But they asked the referee said it's out, they checked. Good discipline from the Tigers. And that was because Gloucester flew in to clear the ruck. And the man nudged the ball back into the breakdown.
Waldron takes it on to the verges of the sponsors promo. This is Jordan Murphy. Youngs with the no-nonsense clearing box kick, gathered in by Johnny May. Impressed as a fullback in recent weeks with Morgan injured, but he's back on the wing now. And here's the other winger. This is Sharples, who is sharp, tries to exact some sort of revenge by going around Tuolangi, and Tuolangi's being called for a late tackle.
That's one for the shed. That is one for the shed.
I think it's for a shoulder charge. It's not the fact that he hit him, it's the fact that he uses the outside of his shoulder just to nudge him. Good defence from him initially, takes away all the space.
And that's stepped across and deliberately to push away. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Where you got this?
JP Dall just explaining exactly why Tuolangi has been penalised, and it was for the shoulder barge. But with the wind, it's well beyond the range of Freddie Burns, so Burns decides to dib it towards the 22. And as much as we're heading towards the final 10 minutes, we all know, and the shed knows, that this match still has plenty of room to run.
Other side of the line, other side of the line, other side.
Well, just won by Narroway, only by his fingertips, gathered in by Harden.
We talk about Leicester's line-out being under pressure with no piling. They've done really well in defence. Don't forget Alex Brown out for Gloucester. their line-out maestro. They've certainly struggled at times.
Lewis Deacon, who's playing today, working hard to make the tackle on Tyndall. This is Ngera, who's having another typically energetic game. As is Strokosz. Penalty to Leicester. Gloucester took the ball in. Leicester threatening to win it back. Strokosz hanging on to it.
Dan Cole over the ball.
Number 3 on his feet.
All day long, Leicester have really competed at the breakdown. They've realised that Gloucester love the continuity they like. If they get fast ball, they're very difficult to stop, especially their backs.
Yep.
And that guy got his head over the ruck early on, hands on the ball and turned it over. Great play.
Penalty into touch on halfway. So let's get an update from the Medeski Stadium. It's a half-time score. Topsy Ojo has put Irish ahead. Topsy Ojo, so it must have been a long kick. Ed O'Donoghue, who's making his Premiership debut for Wasps, only just joined the club, has been red-carded. We'll find out what the red card was for, but Wasps down at half-time and down to 14 players. The drama and the chatter about discipline and referees' decisions
7 Gloucester.
looks like it's going to continue this weekend as well. Ed O'Donoghue sent off for Wasps.
Tuolangi impact through the middle. Again, looking for work. It's great to see Alassana Tuolangi hungry. If he's ever had a criticism, it sometimes goes missing at parts during the season. Looks right up for it at the moment.
Flood.
Touch all onside.
Ajertza is chasing this. He would have put money on Morgan getting there first, and he did.
Side entry 10.
Leicester really pressurising the breakdowns as they have done all match. Toby Flood was penalised, and that's what they'll come back for.
Side entries.
Although Leicester have had the upper hand in the last 10 minutes, Gloucester will still feel that they're right in this game, Nick. They're able to get in. If they get this ball and can drive Leicester back and get into an attacking position where Leicester have to compete at the breakdown, the way JP Dawes been going at the breakdown today, anything's possible, and penalties in range, they probably are just about now into this wind.
The man who'll kick them, Burns finds Tyndall. Matt Smith over the ball, and it's a penalty to Leicester. That's Trinder who's conceded it.
Number 13. Okay, you're treating him, let's play on.
I think what you've seen today, Ben, at the breakdown is that the players have realised that JP Doyle is pretty much letting most things go, so they're taking matters into their own hands and almost self-policing the breakdowns.
I think he's realised that, and that's why he's starting to whistle a bit more at that facet of play.
Looks full to me.
Ben Woods is back on his feet. Shooter
Show me your
has
numbers.
the ball.
React
237th Premiership game for him today. Means he moves level with Simon Shaw. Only Hugh Vivian has therefore played more in this league. Skivington's nudge down was to no one in particular, but Leicester get away with it. Youngs, he does that so well, and Youngs has gone. He's got Shooter for support. Tried to go around May, but he will still reset it in a very tasty Leicester position. Skivington drives it on a couple of metres. One more try now would finish it. There looked to be a hint of a knock on there, and there was, and the opportunity is gone.
Terrible decision by Skivington. Leicester, massive overlap on the outside. Croft on the end to finish with Aguja, and he decides to pick and go close. Great break by Youngs. He just gets caught a bit waiting.
Time off.
Was it Freddie Burns to make a decision? Lawson in there, and then that's when Skivington picks and goes with numbers outside for the Tigers.
Leicester 6. Yeah, set him up.
Another Gloucester change. That's Dario Chistellini.
Anybody else, Wayne?
And Leicester are bringing bring on Steve Maffey as well. He's replacing Tom Croft.
Physio,
Yeah,
what's
Tom
what's
Croft
on the
limping.
tight head?
Yeah, another blow for Richard Cockrell. A lot of back row stars at the moment out with Salvi, Crane, Newby.
Fit to scrum.
Can't afford to lose any more. With such a run of important games coming up, both in the Heineken Cup. Northampton next weekend.
Time on, please. I'll referee the gap, eh?
Ought to say, by the way, that somebody at the Medeski Stadium is getting very excited and got their wires crossed. Ed O'Donoghue has not been sent off for Wasps. He has merely been brought on as a replacement, which is not quite as dramatic.
Very similar.
But it's news that I feel I ought to bring you. So if you are a Wasp, your men will have a full complement of 15 players in the second half. Ed O'Donoghue is on as a replacement and not red-carded. Meantime, very, very significant moment here.
You're on his arm. You're on his arm.
Dan Cole's wandering across to have another word with JP Doyle about the assertion that he was scrummaging on the arm, as Peter Buxton prepares to throw his weight into a contest that has less than 5 minutes to run.
7. 7 substitutes.
Going to replace Akapusi and Guerra.
Time on, please. Let's go.
Guerra comes off to deserved applause, continuing to keep his place in the side ahead of Andy Hazel, who's available again after injury. Here's Buxton, the man to turn this match for the Cherry and Whites. Tyndall. Lawson. Burns having to work from deep. Skivington goes through and concedes the penalty, which is taken quickly by Lawson. Gloucester running with it as they have to. This is Tyndall, this is Morgan, goes back inside. He had May up in support, decided not to use him on that occasion. Lawson spins the ball away. It was well taken in the circumstances by Lawson. One Lawson to another.
Yeah, you can't crawl along the floor. That is a penalty once you held.
Can't do that.
When you've been tackled, you can't crawl along the floor.
No.
Equally, the Tigers felt a bit aggrieved by their penalty. I don't think it was a penalty for attacking the scrum half as he picked the ball up. I think it was the fact that the scrum half was having to work so hard because the Leicester player was lying on the floor, and that meant that he was caught. See, tackles made, just keeps crawling. You've got to get back to your feet.
Okay, guys, another metre, another metre. Just look, another metre, please. Gloucester, another metre.
Lawson feeling the pain.
Another metre.
Ed Slater has come on to replace Thomas Waldron, who has beavered about as effectively as ever this afternoon.
Line it's over.
Is it to be in a winning cause? Deacon takes the line out.
It's a good cause to have a drive here, good call. And they get it going really well. Just keeping the pressure with the wind behind their backs down in this 22. They've had one stop.
One time. Out you go, Gloucester.
They'll keep it moving.
8.
Narrow way. Now that's a penalty. He's told him to get out and he's continued to attack the ball. Even if you think you're in the right, if he's shouting at you to get out, you've got to get out.
I spoke to you. Oh, that's... Wait, wait, go.
He thinks it's pathetic, but I don't think it's going to change JP Doyle's mind.
So he's sort of come around the side. He hasn't come through the middle. But regardless of whether he's in the right or the wrong, he was being told, don't play it, get out. It's a big, big penalty to give away. As you said, if Flood knocks this over, goes to a try to get level.
Shades of the old Leicester, dogged, determined, winning, looking more and more like it. They think so. Might be a little bit premature. There's still 90 seconds to go, and we've got a grandstand finish here. Gloucester have got to score a try to get something from this game. Otherwise, They will be losing 3 in a row at Kingsholm for the first time since 2005.
Come back up here, knock on.
We're going to come back for the knock-on from the restart.
14, I think.
Gloucester will have the scrum,
Yeah,
but we've got
14,
60 seconds to go.
Yeah, the kick didn't go 10 metres. JP Doyle saying that it didn't go 10 because Leicester played it and knocked it on.
Make sure tight head's not on the arm.
Don't know quite
Make
why
sure
he's
your
putting
legs
the
are aligned.
scrum outside the 10-metre line.
Well, Leicester are on the verge of an enormous win in the context of their season and in the context of what they've seen so far.
Touch!
On the back of 2 wins in Europe over the last fortnight.
Slip Gloucester 3, slip Gloucester 3.
Victory here at Kingsholm would rubber stamp their resurgence, and it would send out an enormous notice to everyone else in the Premiership. But for the time being, at least, Leicester's season is a long way from being run.
Here. Is that okay? Let's go.
Equally, it send out a message to the rest of the Premiership that if you turn up at Kingsholm and you compete at the breakdown, you slow the ball down, you have a good chance of coming away with the points.
Touch! Pause! Engage! It's not steady. No. Oh. You guys went first, they went back. No ball. No ball. Go. Time acknowledged.
Time's up. Rory Lawson will know that.
Wait for the ball. You must give them square. You can't hit and go.
George Shooter knows
Hold
that.
for engage. Don't free kick yourself here.
All the experience of the 35-year-old
Boys,
head.
hold for engage. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Engage.
Leicester need one more big scrum and the match will be theirs. Oh, they've given away the penalty. Now, what's the decision here? They can kick towards touch and have the line out. No, there's not time for the line out, so they've got to take the ball on, and they do with Narroway.
Brilliant by Slater. He picked up the ball for the penalty, slowed it all down.
This is Burns, this is Tyndall. All or nothing now. Penalties won't do for Gloucester. A try will certainly get the draw. It might yet snatch the win as Johnny May tiptoes his way through.
Leicester all a mile offside in midfield. They don't care, they can give away 3-pointers.
Lawson to Burns to Tyndall to Morgan, who's castled in midfield. A high hit. Might come back to that later. It was a Jertzer.
Look at the width that Gloucester have and how narrow Leicester's defensive line is. They're going to go and try and go deep and get out to the outside channel.
And a Jertzer isn't in that defensive line. He gets up very groggily. Burns. This is Morgan. This is the moment. Is it to be a dramatic one? It might yet be.
Oh, he should have passed it. Sharples was free on the outside.
2 minutes of added time. Burns to Strukosh, who's taken off his hat. It's that important. No time now for niceties. Burns, this is Tyndall. He's got Scott Lawson for support outside and Narroway. If Leicester drag him into touch, it's all over. Tyndall's dragged into touch. Leicester have dragged themselves over the line. And a castle that used to be impregnable continues to crumble. For the first time in 6 years, Gloucester have lost at home 3 times in a row. Saracens, Harlequins, and now Leicester, who are very much back on track.
Well, it may not have been a classic game skill-wise, but a classic Gloucester Tigers game. All about attrition, the breakdown.
Absolutely, the breakdown was the key, but it's just flash points in the game, wasn't it? Pieces of brilliance by Tuolangi, blocking it down, having the acceleration to score the try, the defining moment for Tuolangi. I think Leicester, on balance, deserved the win. They really did their analysis. They killed the breakdown for Gloucester, but there was an opportunity at the end there where Sharples was free, the best finisher they've got in space. Time over, give him the ball, win the game, and unfortunately they didn't take those opportunities today.
Oh, that's what the Aviva Premiership's about. That had a little bit of everything and then a little bit more. And Gloucester by virtue of their losing bonus point, are back inside the top 4, back into the playoff places. Leicester have only moved up 1 place. They've regained 10th from Worcester, who took it temporarily with their victory last night. But it feels much more significant than a 1-place improvement win. Much more important than that. Just wrap up everything else so far. Confirmation of last night's results and important wins for the Chiefs and for the Warriors. Half-time at the Madejski Stadium. Confirmation that Ed O'Donoghue remains a full part of that match despite earlier reports. Northampton against Saracens to come later this evening, and then tomorrow at the Stoop, top against bottom, Harlequins against the Falcons. But we have had some game here, and life for Leicester and for Toby Flood continues to get a little bit brighter and brighter. And he is now with Sarah.
Thanks, Nick. Well, Ben, that's 6 wins on the bounce now, but against Gloucester here at Kingsholm, does it make it a little bit more special?
Yeah, no, it was a great result. Obviously, we've been struggling early part of the season. You know, we're getting a bit of momentum now, which is nice. We're doing well in Europe, and now we're kicking on in the Premiership. But, you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's another good win. There's still a lot of work to do. It's just great to play some rugby. It's nice for me to be back out there. Yeah,
did you feel good out there today?
Apart from the intercept, I know I felt all right. So it's just nice to play rugby, and I love playing for Leicester. And, you know, as I say, another good win, and let's get the, you know, hopefully get the momentum, keep going.
Yeah, and Toby, if that first half was all about defence, was the second half just about taking your chances?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously I knocked one over the line. I think if I was playing Super League I would have got it, but one of those things. But yeah, I think we felt that they kicked the ball a lot in the first half. We wanted to kind of follow suit, but make sure when we were in the 22 that we took our rewards, and we pretty much did that. I think you know, it was tighter than we probably would have wanted it to be, but ultimately it was a good win for us.
Yeah, and after all the drama surrounding the RFU and England this week, is it just nice to get out there and play some rugby?
I don't think it really, I know a lot has been said about it, but I don't think it affects our run up to the week. I think as players, you shrug your shoulders and get on. Obviously it hurts the game and you don't want to see it, but it is, as you say, we're all about playing rugby right now, and all we can do is come here, and the important thing for us for Leicester is, as Len says, just to keep winning and keep winning well. We're on a bit of a run at the moment. We've got to keep that up, obviously, into Europe against Claremont. So it just gets bigger and bigger, and we can't really keep an eye on the papers.
Yeah, and I know it's only 1 win, and it doesn't really move you that much up the league, but with that Constantina shape in the middle of the table, it gives you a bit of hope now, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some points are better than none. So, as I say, you know, we've got Northampton next week, which is a massive game. You know, obviously, massive game for the players, but also for fans. So, hopefully, we can get some more points there. Then slowly we can start climbing up the table. But you know, I think we're probably still about 8th now or 7th. I'm not sure, but you know, as long as we keep winning, that's all that can matter.
Thanks for your time, lads. Well done today.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Well, they're still 10th, but they're heading in the right direction. Premiership highlights on Monday on ESPN HD, Monday evening, to wrap up all that we've seen this weekend. And then if you want a little bit of brie and baguette, then stay with us for the French Top 14 review as well. What an afternoon we have had here in the West Country. A nourishing afternoon of full-on rugby at Kingsholm. Leicester head back over the drawbridge with the treasure. David Flatman will help us analyse it all after the break.